is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off the dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at the University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Oh, what a week. We're live at the Country Financial Studio. This is Duck Insider. Chris Clayton here with you. Happy to have you along with us, fill in. We've got a packed studio today. We have like a live studio audience. I feel like I'm like Conan O'Brien here, a late-night show host, so I've got some expectations to uphold trying to entertain this crowd we have on hand. So hopefully they can help bring my energy up and give some support here. Well, this is going to be a exciting show. This is a big week in Duck sports. Actually, today, Oregon volleyball is in action up the road in Portland, up I-5, playing at Portland State. Oregon soccer's going across the country. They're going to go out to the East Coast. They're playing at Rutgers and at Maryland. We've got Oregon women's golf coach Derek Radley later on in the show. Joey Mack this week was able to catch up with him. We're going to be talking with Rob Mosley on the program here. He's going to give us his thoughts on the rivalry victory for Oregon football on Saturday, and then we hear from Dan Lanning. He just spoke with the media just a couple hours ago. We're going to have his thoughts on how practice is going this week and how they're approaching this bye week. Looking forward to Big Ten play that's right around the corner. And so there's plenty to go over here this week, and there's plenty to talk about moving forward. So we're excited about that. Also, by the way, Matt Ulmer, the Oregon volleyball head coach, is on the program later on. He spoke with the media today as well. So let's talk about that, right? Oregon volleyball in action is an opportunity for Duck fans in Portland. I know there's a lot of them. They're playing at Portland State, so it's a road match for the Ducks right up I-5. I know there's a lot of Duck fans in Portland who try to make the trip down to Eugene as often as they can to come to matches and to games. This is an opportunity. You can head over to Viking Pavilion there in Portland and watch Ducks volleyball in action. And it's plenty to like and plenty to watch with Oregon volleyball this year, as they lost the opener to Pitt, right? An excellent Pittsburgh team, one of the best teams in the country, and they are on a tear ever since. Matt Ulmer and the Ducks coming off big wins this last weekend over BYU and San Diego. Those are two really good volleyball programs, and Oregon absolutely showed out and played so well, including a 5-set dramatic win over BYU, who's one of the top 25 teams in the country. So it'd be interesting to hear from Matt Ulmer later on and his thoughts on how this team's approaching this week with Portland State tonight. That'll be at 7 p.m. And you can watch, if you're not able to make it out to that game, on ESPN+. They'll have a broadcast of that one available of Ducks volleyball before they play Oregon State on Sunday. It's another rivalry matchup with the Beavs. It's awesome that as many sports as possible, even with the new conference affiliation, was able to maintain and continue this rivalry. It doesn't matter what the sport is. It doesn't matter what the records are, right? It's a cliche, but Oregon State volleyball not off to a great start this year with one win. But they're going to bring it. That's a huge opportunity for them against the Ducks. So that'll be a fun one on Sunday, and Matt Ulmer answered a few questions about that one. Well, we've been talking about it throughout the week here on Duck Insider. For Ducks football, it is a work week is what they call it. No game this week. A lot of people affectionately call it a bye week usually. But they are using this week to their fullest potential, trying to get better, trying to work out the kinks for this Oregon football team. And he caught up with the media earlier today and answered questions about how things are going. So let's hear from Dan Lanning earlier today after Ducks football practice.
All right, good work today. Still got some stuff that we can continue to improve on, but I've changed it up a little bit here during the week to challenge ourselves competitively, finish off with a red zone period there to finish. Can open it up after that.
What did the self-scout reveal that you hadn't picked up in real time?
I wouldn't say it revealed a ton, but there's plenty that we can work on. There's a lot of small details. It might be a tweak in a scheme. might be an improvement of what's hurt us, what do we need to continue to work on. But I wouldn't say there's glaring things.
How did Poncho look on review, and does it feel like that's the direction you're going to head?
Yeah, I thought he did some really good things. Got to continue to work on snap accuracy, some of those details. But overall, I thought it was positive.
You guys didn't sub as much in the third game as the first two. Just would you like that unit and just kind of the future it has?
Yeah, I think it's got a chance, right? The key is growth, right? We're not the best version of us yet, and we won't be the best version of us, right, until hopefully, the end of the season. The key is, are we getting better today and getting better tomorrow as we continue to progress?
When they were dropping 8 as much as they were defensively, particularly after Gabriel's run, how much did you like from it, whether it was just route running or decision making when under those circumstances?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I think when you're that accurate, it shows up in the game. You can hit holes when people drop 8. You got to be able to find the vacancies in the zone and take advantage of it. Be able to hold on to the ball a little bit longer at times and wait for guys to come open.
In that game, did you feel like you guys sort of found the drive on offense to be able to consistently play like that going forward?
I think we found it that game, right? It's about what we do today and what we do tomorrow to see if we can continue to do that.
What's sort of the key to keeping that up?
Performing, executing, and doing your job.
Talk about finding guys that can help the team in games and whatnot. And for the players that aren't playing, this may be a broad question, but how critical is this week? Well, what do you get out of this for those guys that aren't there yet?
Yeah, it's a huge week for development. Development's important in our program, right? It's getting guys playing winning football, so we spent a lot of time on that.
You get clarity from the Big Ten as to why the targeting call against Boise State safety was overturned on the Hill and Dillon?
Yeah, I do not.
And the explanation on the Devin penalty
was not a foul. They told us it wasn't a foul afterwards.
And it just had to stick by rule in terms of the ref. Gotcha. What is Ashton Porter returning?
Excuse me, back on the Boise State one.
Sure.
It was. We sent it in. It was a penalty, but it wasn't called. So.
Okay. Is Ashton Porter returned to the program?
Yeah, he will be dealing with family stuff right now.
Yeah.
Talk about development. Is there any other key things that you guys wanted to work on during this bye week?
Yeah, just us getting better. There's a lot of key things that we're working on, not necessarily things we share with you guys, but there's a lot of stuff internally that we've noticed as weaknesses that we want to improve.
Like recruiting's going right now, an opportunity for you guys to get out on the road this week?
Yeah, I think this would be a great week for us to get out there and be able to see some guys and take advantage of that.
Is there anything you guys
obviously putting up really nice numbers? Where are some areas though you want to see him get better at?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to share with you guys everything that we want to get better at. I don't think that's your business, right? I really think that's our players' business. But he knows every single one of our players has an individual improvement plan this week.
Is there anything specifically you guys are focusing on, this being the first road game of the year?
No, because we had a road game last week.
It's for Gary's progress in terms of returning to the field. Where is he at now compared to?
Yeah, continue to assess it. When he's back and ready, we'll be able to use him.
Is Matthew ready to be in the rotation to play a little bit offensively?
Yeah, I think this week and next week will be a great opportunity for us to see that.
And how far away is Rod Pleasant at this point in terms of being even able to be a full participant in practice, let alone games?
Yeah, he's able to help us.
That's Dan Lanning talking after practice today about how they're approaching this week. You hear him talking a lot, really every week, about development and how important every day is and the opportunity to get better. Sometimes it sounds like coach speak, but especially in a week like this where Oregon doesn't have a game, right? So an opportunity for the young guys to develop, maybe get some more opportunities, and the Ducks are always trying to refine things and improve, even coming off one of maybe their best performance of the season. They were able to beat up on Oregon State this past weekend. Rob Mosley just walked into the studio, so we're going to be talking with him coming up soon. After this break, when we come back on Duck Insider, we talk with the GoDucks.com Editor-in-Chief Rob Moseley about all things Ducks. This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, this is Duck Insider here in the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Chris Clayton with you, and now we're honored to be joined by the GoDucks.com Editor-in-Chief Rob Moseley.
That's very generous of you.
Yes.
Honored.
We've got a live studio audience here, so we got to let them know how important you are.
Oh, they know.
Just the aura walking in, they know. Well,
that and lore. You kids with those two words.
Yes.
Like they used to use them in like 17th century England a lot, and now you guys have decided that lore and aura need to be back, and which are fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But like they're suddenly everywhere.
Yes, the Rob Moseley lore
precedes
itself. They knew right when you walked in. Well, there's no football game this week, but it's a huge week in Duck sports.
It is.
Well, let's actually go back to the Oregon State football game. We haven't had you on the program to give your thoughts.
Correct.
You were there, so what were your thoughts on the environment there at Research Stadium?
They did an awesome job with that facility, first of all. So kudos to them. I commend them. I think as we talk about, I use kind of the larger we because I'm certainly not involved in any future of Autzen Stadium plans. But when there's those conversations are being had around the department about kind of what the future of Autzen looks like, and is there a chance to do some remodeling, things like that. I think there's some touches there that really successful. Some of I was really impressed with some of their like standing room only sections. Still felt like you're kind of right on top of it. Mm-hmm. But probably a good price point for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And some of like the little club areas they had. I just think they did an awesome job with that facility. Kind of with the sizes of fan bases that we're dealing with in our markets. Compared to SEC or some other places. Mm-hmm. You want kind of a specific attendance number that you're looking for and all that, and it just feels like it really fits them really well. So they did a great job, and I thought the Oregon fans traveled really well, and kind of took the home fans out of it a little bit pretty early. By the time I got down to the field in the fourth quarter, it was a little sparse in some of the oranger sections, but you understand, just sometimes we've all been on both sides of games like that over the years. But yeah, it was fun.
Right, and there was talk about, hey man, is it Thanksgiving? It smells like turkey. So a little bit different being in September this year. Did you notice a different feeling being there, or was the hatred still strong?
No, to me, maybe I've just been around for enough Oregon State games that it kind of doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I read some of that going in that it was going to feel weird and it was going to feel different, and obviously the conference alignment was different, and I think I talked with Joey last week that I'd be interested to see kind of what if it felt different, and it none of that really struck me that much. Two things struck me. One thing I always loved about the old Research Stadium press box is it had tomato soup, but in a coffee dispenser type thing. Yeah, it's like a big jug of tomato soup, so you'd just be constantly drinking tomato soup out of a cup over the course of the game. Mm-hmm. And when it's November, that was most welcome. Mm-hmm. That was not offered this time, and probably wouldn't have been as appreciated given that it was a little bit of a warmer climate. The other thing is my great friend and longtime press box fellow press box inhabitor Gary Horowitz, who worked in Salem for a long time, it went to Ohio State. And so usually Oregon State often would be the same weekend as Ohio State, Michigan. So watching Gary Horowitz watch Ohio State while also trying to pay attention to the game he was actually covering was always a fun sidebar to an Oregon State game. So that also did not exist. So no tomato soup, no watching Gary Horowitz sweat the Ohio State-Michigan game. Other than that, all felt kind of routine.
Yes. So some specific things for you felt different, but overall still,
yeah,
that's part of the magic of
I didn't think
sports.
it took the shine off it, playing at a different time of year, being a non-conference game. I mean, the passions still seem like they were there on both sides. And, hey, maybe we'll check in 5 or 10 or 20 years and things might look different. Lord only knows what the college athletics landscape's going to look like in any of those time frames anyway. So kind of not worth worrying about. But, for this year, I thought it was cool.
And that's part of the magic of college sports, right? The fan passion, the rivalry within own households just makes those games so special no matter when you play them. And a big story that kind of became a national story was Bryce Betcher. And obviously everybody around here has known how important that game was to him. They talked a lot about that on the TV broadcast and everything about how he said he was going to give it his all, put his life on the line basically for that game. And it felt like that kind of emotional commitment to the game. I don't know if it led the charge, but it embodied how Oregon played a lot in that game.
Yeah, no, and I don't think that's hyperbole from Bryce. I think he literally would, run through a wall to help his team, and particularly in that matchup against that opponent. It just he's obviously got his ceilings may be higher in baseball than, I don't want to say obviously because I don't know. I'm not in any position to say with any level of expertise, but I think it's reasonable to think his ceiling might be a little higher in baseball. You saw he got drafted by the Houston Astros. They know their stuff based on their results on the field the last several years. So, and obviously, Gold Glove center fielder in college baseball. A guy who can kind of do a little of everything at the plate too, get on base, hit for power, all that. A ton of value there, but loves football.
Yeah.
To the point that he told the Astros, "Hey, I'm going to play one more year of football. Hope you understand." And they did. And so, you hope when in a situation like that, a guy's able to really maximize, taking advantage of that opportunity. And it sure seems like he is. He's earned the right to play as much as he has. Obviously, Jeff Boss has been, limited a little bit, which has kind of changed the landscape at the inside linebacker position a little bit. But, I think regardless, Bryce has earned the ability. I think it's 2 years in a row he started the first game of the season. And then, first play, I think it was the other day, almost, could have been maybe a pick six.
Right.
Didn't have the Gold Glove hands on that play, but he was laughing about that afterward. But a big time impact player. I mean, you see him running down on kickoff coverage still. Even though he's playing a bunch on defense, and I think really set the tone. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Particularly with some of the additions to the portal, there's a lot of veteran guys on that defense that you figure probably don't need somebody else to kind of set the tone for them.
Yeah.
They know to bring it every game. So I don't want to suggest that there's a lot of guys that needed that needed a leader like that or a tone setter like that to step up in order to kind of light their own fire. I think there's plenty of guys that could do that themselves, but really, really fun to see a guy playing with that kind of passion, knowing it was a Eugene kid, South Eugene High School grad, playing against the Beavers, knowing it was his last chance, having grown up, attended so many of those games, whether it was in the stands, on the sidelines, whatever, and now, in the game. So really cool for him.
I'm talking with Rob Mosley here on Duck Insider, and throughout the week it was fun to watch him, even his body language. He would start to smile just thinking about the game and seeing that progress into how he played on the field. What do you think about offensively, though? There was talk among the Ducks even saying that they hadn't played up to their own standard, maybe even on the offensive line specifically, but the way they were able to run the football was really big in that game.
Yeah, I just think that's the Oregon offense we all thought we were going to see. It took a couple weeks to kind of get into sync and find the right rhythm. And, whether the personnel up front had a huge part to play in that, I don't know. I think Charlie Pickard, who started the season at center, was grading out pretty well. I don't think anybody felt like he specifically individually was certainly not hurting the team. I mean, he was doing his job, but just something wasn't clicking right. And you move a couple pieces around, and suddenly you find your rhythm. And so I assume now you kind of stick with that until you think you need to make another adjustment. But certainly looked like the team I think we all thought they were going to look like, particularly offensively. And there are enough new pieces in there. Whether it was a younger guy like Poncho on the O-line, or Gabriel at quarterback, coming in as a transfer, Evan Stewart. Maybe they needed a couple games to really kind of get on the same page, but it sure looked like they did. So. You just hope now through a bye week you can maintain some momentum. I think Dan Lanning, if you just played that, then I think you heard him say like they've tried to create some things in practice this week to kind of sustain a really competitive environment, so that edge that it seemed like they found last week is sustained through this week and into the start of conference play next week.
Yeah, now maybe that's the combination they go with on the offensive line, but they have some depth to work with right now.
For sure.
So if something happens moving forward. For this week, like you said, it is bye week for the Ducks. How does Oregon typically approach these bye weeks in terms of how much different do the practices look on a week like this?
Yeah, I think just over the years, different coaches have different philosophies. I mean, sometimes a coach will really devote a lot of time to younger guys, and you'll see scrimmage periods specific to younger guys. And, this team does some of that on a weekly basis anyway. But the team was in Autzen Stadium Tuesday, I think, and part of that is probably an effort to just foster this sense of like, it's still, we're still kind of in business mode, even though there's no game on the schedule Saturday. It's still about getting better, each week. This is something else I talked about with Joey last week, just that, prior to that Oregon State game, coming off Idaho and then Boise State, it had been 2 wins, but 2 wins that left you going, who are these guys? We're not 100% sure. And I mentioned to him last Wednesday, that I'd walked out on the practice field last Monday going, kind of regardless of how those games went, that practice that Monday was going to be about the same thing, getting better. Whether you'd won by 1 million, whether you'd been upset and lost, whether you had a couple of victories that were wins, but also pose some questions, as was the case. Last Monday's practice was still going to be about, hey, just show up, come out, get better, build on the work you've done already. And that's still the case this week as well. Just keep getting better, keep pushing. I mean, this team wants this to be a really long season, has the potential to be a really long season. So you've just got to keep progressing, embrace that mindset. School hasn't started yet, so I think there's still a sense of urgency to kind of really maximize these next couple weeks, before school starts, and then guys just have, one more priority on their plate and something else to kind of take seriously in their lives. And until that case, kind of maximize this opportunity now. So even though there's no game Saturday again, try to take full advantage of this time.
Let's talk volleyball. They're in action tonight. They're playing at Portland State. Then they have the Beavs on Sunday. It feels like with 6 wins in a row, big performances last weekend. It seems like Matt Ulmer and the Ducks are starting to figure it out on the volleyball court as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think we all, that first match against Pitt was going to be like, all right, let's see what they got. And then the first set was like, ooh, a lot of new faces. You lost a really good setter, kind of the quarterback of the team coming off last year. Maybe there's going to be some growing pains this year. But immediately got better the last 2 sets of that match, and then came out, I think it was 2 days later that weekend. Would they play Friday, Sunday that opening weekend? I think.
Yep.
Looked a lot better, and you're not playing Pitt at that point, so that's it was a different flavor of match that way. But since then, just have kept winning. Kind of like football, made some lineup tweaks, but nothing overly dramatic. But just also kind of let some people work some things out and find a rhythm, and it seems like they have. For a team that's played in the Elite Eight, the last 2 years, to hear Coach Ulmer talking today about how, hey, there's some areas of their game where they're ahead of schedule right now compared to some years past, is pretty encouraging. Obviously, there's still a ton of volleyball. You haven't even got to conference play, and the Big Ten is a monster volleyball conference. But, again, you reflect back on that first set of the first match against Pitt and go and thinking, oh no, like this is going to be a rebuilding effort. And instead, it looks more like, hey, they reloaded, they figured some things out, and things are really clicking. So conference play, I think, is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, and we'll hear from Matt Ulmer later on in the program. He was talking about how he's so pleased at how the team is blocking right now. 20 blocks against BYU. They haven't had that many blocks in a match since 2006. How about soccer as well? They got the long Big Ten road trip, Rutgers and Maryland, that they got to kind of combat what could be some travel fatigue, right?
They do. I mean, I think Coach Abel said recently, though, it's like they actually travel less this year than they traveled last year. And,
right.
I think thanks to some of the tweaks you make in your non-conference schedule and things like that. Again, school hasn't started. So I would imagine there's some players on that team who are thinking, oh, man, I almost wish school had started because I could knock out some homework on these flights. What the heck am I going to do with myself? So, download some shows or whatever,
right.
Crack open a book that, does anybody read for pleasure anymore? Does anybody in this room read for pleasure? Please tell me you do. Thank you. A couple of hands went up.
I'm not even going to lie.
Right.
I wish I could lie and say yes, I'm a huge
right.
scholastic reader, but no.
I'm a giant nerd. I read all the time. So but I'm actually looking forward to some longer flights because you can just dive into a book and turn your phone off and all that. But you didn't ask about me. You asked about the soccer team. And, do wish that they had been able to bring the momentum of a big-time win over UCLA into this trip because, I was at about 2/3 of that game Saturday night. I hit the wall about halfway through the second half after being at the football game earlier in the day. Got home to see that they'd scored and was like, oh, my, did I just miss this epic upset, and was rooting for the fact that I had missed it, but unfortunately UCLA scored a couple late goals, and the tire was on a penalty shot that just was really unfortunate.
Was it controversial? We'll say
I think, you could watch the replay of the foul and see what you want to see, depending on what side of the matchup you were on.
Graham Abel was very professional about it.
I didn't listen to his postgame.
He tried not to dive into too much. He felt like it was the Ducks could have avoided some of those things, but it was a big call.
Yeah, it was, and he probably also believes that had they not been able to get the tying goal there, momentum stays with Oregon, and maybe you finish with a 1-0 or even a 2-0 victory. As it was a 2-1 defeat. But to have stayed unbeaten at home, to have beaten a ranked team, a long-time foe from back in the Pac-12 days, I think would have meant a lot to them. It does not take away from the success they've had early in the year in any way, but I think it would have kind of validated even more just the direction they're headed and what the potential for this team is. And so now there's nothing to do but just put your head down and take it on the road and try to make the most of this trip. I don't have a great sense of the quality of competition they're going to face this weekend, but
I think watching Oregon soccer, everybody can see the improvements they've made. They're getting better and better, but they want to get those results. So that'll be
100%.
That's how the industry is, right? Trying to get those results.
Yeah, but I think you see too. There's no doubt there's a lot of stuff this team's doing better, but I think you see you look at last year and you say, hey, had a couple of matches early gone the other way, and you're able to get some different momentum, a different feeling about your season. That can change things. And, they may not be playing that much better, dramatically better. I'm sure Coach thinks that there are some areas where they're playing dramatically better. But kind of to your point, when you get it validated early, that can just change the flavor of a season so much. And then you get some momentum, and then, it can, that confidence can start to feed into itself, and that can lead to better and better results as the season goes on. So, again, I think that's why you hope and believe that for as disappointing as the last 12 minutes or whatever of that match Saturday night was, that it doesn't take away from kind of the general sense of positive momentum they had going, because it's a real thing. And, if you can keep that confidence about yourself while, again, kind of reflecting on what we were talking about with football, just constant improvement, you can still have, a really big-time bounce-back season coming off of last year.
How are you going to spend the bye week? Football bye week, a little bit of a
it's a kind of
free
a
Saturday, right?
Kind of a tough week around the homestead. The dog's not feeling great.
Oh no!
So the plan had been go to Bend tomorrow, see Sturgill Simpson.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe do some camping during a trek northward, ending up at Edgefield Sunday to see Goose.
Wow. Huge plans.
But the dog is not feeling great. So no Sturgill tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
2 good tickets available on Ticketmaster if anybody is interested. Goose up in the air. Luckily, they're playing here at Cuthbert on Tuesday.
Okay.
So I'll get to see Goose regardless. It would be nice to see him Sunday and Tuesday.
Mm.
But it does mean that rather than being camping in the middle of nowhere Saturday, I'll probably just be sitting on my couch watching football all day, which is pretty nice.
That's not bad. Yeah. I have a very anxious dog, and so I've also had to kind of adjust my life schedule sometimes,
right.
So I feel where you're coming from.
Well, and maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you can relate to this too. Clearly, we think that's some sort of a neck, back, like muscle, maybe joint injury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not traumatic because he's not like debilitated.
Yeah.
But I think his general anxiety makes it worse.
Right.
Because he just feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speculating here, but I think just because he feels weird, that's making him even more anxious, nervous. And it's making it seem like he's more hurt than he actually is.
Right. Well, your presence and your aura being at home with him, I'm sure will really help.
The lore from this week will be told and retold for decades.
Rob Mosley, Editor-in-Chief of GoDucks.com. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
When we come back to Country Financial Studio, we're going to be hearing from Oregon women's golf coach Derek Radley. This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new, all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new, all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow. You sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, live in the Country Financial Studio. Chris Clayton here with you. Well, it's golf season, and Oregon women's golf is off to a terrific start. Last weekend they played in the Annika Intercollegiate Tournament, and they performed well. This is a young Ducks team, and they were terrific with a second-place finish over there. Joey Mack earlier this week was able to catch up with the head coach, Derek Radley. He discussed this team, the season, and the previous recent results. Again, Derek Radley with Joey Mack.
It's always fun when we get a chance to talk a little women's golf. Head coach Derek Radley is here. Coach, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in. The season comes fast and furious for you, and I say this about golf and tennis all the time. Collegiate golf, collegiate tennis are unique for a few reasons. One, it's an individual sport professionally that's a team sport when you're in college.
Also, it's one of the few sports that is truly competition year-round, right? I mean, you're going in the fall, you get a little break in the winter, then you're back for championships in the late winter and spring, and then there's a summer pro. Like, does it ever stop?
No. But we love it.
Yeah. You wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
I wouldn't. Love being out on the golf course. And just so fun to get our ladies back. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Getting everybody back on September 1st, being a quarter school.
Right.
And most of the semester schools get their teams back mid-August, maybe even beginning of August. So we're back. We got a tournament under our belt, and excited for the rest of the fall.
Well, take fans through it, I guess, the process. Where are you at? You got them going now into a tournament. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, so great stuff. So we, Coach Chrissy, Carmen, and I, our assistant coach, and I, we go into American Mom and Dad, especially for our newbies that come to Eugene. So they all report back by September 1st. So we're busy, getting checking accounts set up and cell phones going and helping shopping to get housing assignments set up for the fall. But no, it's just really about welcoming them, making them feel comfortable. We're so excited that they're here and a part of our Duck family. But it is a quick turnaround. So Coach Chrissy does a fantastic job with our Duck swag and keeping us looking good. Yeah. So it's, compliance meetings, physicals done to make sure that everybody is eligible and cleared to compete. Trying on all their clothes to make sure they fit and they feel super cute.
Photo shoot day,
which is always fun. And we're on the plane and headed to our first tournament.
I think that's a great, point to bring up, that there's so much that happens off the golf course and in every sport. But you just alluded to some of it, this is really planning for life, and also you're a student athlete, right? I mean, it sounds like you really kind of take that to heart as a coach.
Yeah, my wife Sarah and I, we have 3 kiddos of our own, right? And so I think a big part of the recruiting process is making their mom and dad feel comfortable that we can be mom and dad when they come here. And, we want them to be great, on the golf course, but certainly understand that life is means a lot, and we want them to grow and love their time here in Eugene.
You're recruiting mom and dad in some ways as much as you're recruiting a student athlete, I'd assume,
sure,
right?
Yeah, and it's about relationships, right? And whether they're coming from Thailand or Taiwan or and just up the road in Bend, here in Oregon. So yeah, it's about them feeling comfortable and trusting us as a coaching staff that we're going to look after their daughter.
Yeah, to that point, I've talked with you about this before, but your roster is one of the most internationally diverse in the athletic department. Another year of that. How fun is that for you?
Yeah, it's great. Golf has grown so much, especially on the women's side, and so really excited to. We have a brand here in Oregon that attracts great golfers from all over the world. Mm-hmm. And so, excited that we can get into most living rooms and make the sales pitch, but also they know that it's real. And really excited about a couple of our newbies and new additions to the team, because it was a big transition year for us. Really proud of our seniors from last year and what they're going on and doing already and accomplishing in life, but also really excited for the newbies that are here as well.
We'll break down the roster for us. Just go through it. Maybe start some returners that we know about,
That's
but
right.
still a very young group.
It is. We had 5 returners from our roster of 9 last year. Mm-hmm. And then we brought 4 newbies to Eugene. So we have a young lady really excited about, extremely talented, from Thailand. Mm-hmm. Her name is Suvichaya Vintage Chatham.
I'm glad you said it, because I was going to ask you to say it on the air for me.
So I'll tell you a funny story. So we were on the first tee at the Annika Intercollegiate, our first event. And, the announcer announces the player, and they said, next on the tee from the University of Oregon, Suvichaya Vintage Chatham. And she looked at me, and I started dancing a little bit like this on the first tee.
I mean, please
but
forgive us. As a broadcaster, it's funny. I just had this conversation with Coach Martin, because he has a player whose last name is Quack, but Quack is how you have to say it, right? But for real, you never want to say a name wrong. But look, we got to know how to say it the proper way, and the accent is different. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, Suvichaya is an unbelievable talent.
Cool.
And an even sweeter young lady. She goes by Hut.
Okay.
Is her English name. So she's fantastic. She made 1 million birdies it's unbelievable to watch her hit a golf ball, and I'm so excited that she's here. Our other freshman, we brought in 2, young lady from China, which is also an extremely talented individual. Her name is An Tong, and we call her AT. So we have Hut and AT are our 2 new freshmen. AT has played at the biggest level in Asia. She won a professional event at the age of 16. I believe she shot 22 under par.
Wow.
And just is a personality and a half and a lot of fun to be around. So those 2 just immediately fit right in, and really proud of their first performance as Ducks. And then we picked up 2 transfers, one from San Jose State. She's originally from New Zealand, Dare Chung. Dare was a fantastic player at San Jose State. She has 3 years of eligibility left, and she brings a lot of speed to the team. Very, very strong. Really excited, just kind of a raw talent, excited to work with her and see where she can grow and get to. And then an Oregonian, we picked up Yvonne Vinciri, has joined our Duck family, and she came from Idaho, was really their best player, just raw. And this past summer actually made it pretty far in the Oregon Amateur, and actually competed against Coach Chrissy in the semifinals.
Cool.
So it was a battle, but I got a chance to go up there and watch her, and she's extremely talented. Left-hander. Yeah.
That's a little different.
It is. Yeah, but fun. So we, watching her on video, I can do it, and then I can flip it around.
Right,
so it's a little, and we can flip it back. So
actually, that's an interesting point. So I have a couple of friends growing up, and they're they both are right-handed.
Okay.
But they hit golf balls and baseballs left-handed. And I will never forget this story because their dad was like, the only thing I can think of is that when I was teaching them how to swing or whatever, they just did the mirror image of me. And I thought, well, I wonder, I'm actually surprised that doesn't happen more often, right? Like, it is a little different mechanic, I guess, for a lefty.
My son, Ryder, he's 5, Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
So he can rip a baseball, but he's lefty. He's righty, and then he's lefty, but he swings a golf club left-handed.
Yeah, there you
go. And I tell him to mirror Mommy.
Right.
Mommy was the tour player and the superstar in the household. So it's easy for him to watch and do it. So we'll see.
Comes off the club a little different.
It does.
Yeah.
One other addition to the roster, which we're really excited about, is our brand new graduate assistant coach.
Nice.
So one of our sophomores this year, superstar Kiara Romero, her sister Kalia Romero has joined us as our grad assistant coach this year. Really excited to have Kalia on board. She just recently graduated from Pepperdine's team. Is a fantastic golfer herself, and really excited to have her here, be a part of the family, and learn the coaching role and looking at it from a little different perspective than as a player.
Well, I was going to ask you about your staff, and you hit on it a little bit. It's a little different when you're not playing and you're coaching now,
for sure.
Right? That's a transition.
Yeah, I've asked her a couple times because we had qualifying right before our first tournament. I said, "What'd you learn?" She says, "Wow, well, I learned that I can't believe that I did a couple of those things that I did when I was playing."
Sure, yeah.
And I think it gives you a really good perspective on course management. When you're sitting in the golf cart and you're watching your team go around, and man, if they would have just hit it here, that would be a little bit easier on them than putting themselves in this position. So
that's Ducks women's golf coach Derek Radley. We'll hear part 2 of his conversation when we come back. All of our coaches' interviews, of course, brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Part 2, Joey Mack and Derek Radley when we come back from the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Back on Duck Insider, live in the Country Financial Studio. Chris Clayton here with you. Let's dive right back into it. Let's go to part two. Joey Mack earlier this week able to catch up with Derek Radley, the Oregon women's golf coach, as they're in action. Their next tournament isn't until September 30, but they are coming off some strong early results. Let's hear part two of that conversation.
We mentioned before, like, you have overall a little bit of a younger roster, but still very talented. Do you find that younger golfers, like, you don't want to give them as much of the course scouting information? Like, I don't know, does that part of the game grow more than others as they get older? Or is it really like some players are 15 years old, they're like, I want all the information possible? I don't know.
Yeah, I think every player's different, in what they interpret. But we've come to find out that the younger they are, probably the more course management they need.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so their technique is usually so good because they've worked with national teams and golf instructors. They've been hitting 1 million golf balls since they've been 6 years old.
Right.
But we really focus on breaking down a golf course and trying to outsmart every other team.
Yeah.
And if we can save one shot per student athlete, that's 5 shots in a round, which can clip another team. So Coach Chrissy and I, you can see us during the tournament running everywhere and relaying information back of where to hit it, where to strategize. One of my favorite sayings that Tiger Woods used to say is, they're all out there playing checkers and I'm out here playing chess.
Yeah.
Right? So we try to really implement that and break down a golf course as best we can.
What's your step count during a tournament?
It's a lot. I'm everywhere. And so we get one golf cart between the coaching staff. So what we'll do is Coach Chrissy will walk out to whatever hole. Like this last tournament, number 2 was a par 5, so our ladies needed some help with layups, so she went to number 2 and parked herself there. Then I drive the cart up to number 4, then we leapfrog each other all the way in. But it's a lot of steps. Yeah, we're running everywhere.
You probably log more steps as a coach than you would playing around, I would guess.
I probably do. I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might jump to 7 and back to 3 and up to 10 and back. Just helping wherever we see fit. Yeah, I sleep pretty good at night in the hotel.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Derek Radley, Oregon Women's Golf head coach with us. You mentioned all the newcomers and then some returners. I mean, Kiara Romero, I think we've all seen the numbers, the rounds that she shot. How is she heading into her sophomore year?
Boy, she looks stronger than ever. She really took the time this past summer to get in the weight room, and you can see it. And her club head speed is faster than it's ever been. I think she's hitting it higher and straighter than she ever has. So really excited for the season that Kiara has ahead of her. We're going to take it one step at a time, and I think with her it's managing expectations. We talk about them, but boy, is she talented and so fun and so thankful that she's on this team.
And then coming off your first tournament, another individual in Karen Suru pushed Kiara Romero a little bit there in one of those rounds.
Karen is a baller. Yeah. I'm so proud of Karen Suru. I love her competitiveness, her care, her detail. Is just her. It's so fun to watch her compete, and we're working through some club changes and making sure that those are fit right. The lies in the loft to make sure that she's hitting them exactly the yardage that she wants to. But boy, when those spotlights turn on, I never question if Karen's going to bring it. She's going to bring everything she's got.
You mentioned qualifying a little bit ago, and I was talking with Coach Martin about this, just the importance of trying to create that tournament atmosphere at practice, and then that's how you determine who's going to play. I mean, just how do you go about doing that as a coach?
We do the same thing. So we'll qualify. We say iron sharpens iron, right? So the more competitive that we are at home, the more competitive we'll be on the road. So if we have time, like we barely did before the first tournament, it was a rush, but we got 3 full rounds of golfing, and then we'll do it again before this next event, just to see where everybody's at. If there's some club changes or some technique changes. I love being able to put it in a pressure situation here at home so that we can take it with us when we head on the road.
Yeah, the depth matters.
It does. Yeah, and we're like you said, we never pass the ball to each other, right? But we still are a team. Right. And so using that competitive edge against each other in a positive way, I think allows us to be our best when we're on the road.
As a coach, and we've talked about like the qualifying and your best players, you want your best players at those given times to go. How much does the course influence? And like if someone's better, off the tee, for example, or they're better, on a certain type of I don't know, all the different things that inform that. Like, how much do you factor that in as a coach? Like, depending on, does this player's game fit the course better?
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a little different than a basketball court. That's the same
it's all the same.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's a real thing, and I think we try to do our best at selecting the players that would be best for that particular golf course.
Right.
But also, I think if you're playing great, you can play great anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that, I try to do personally when we come up with the schedule is to play in different parts of the country so that come postseason when we do potentially get shipped all over the country, that we're prepared and ready to go for that.
Well, you led me to my next question, just talking about the schedule. We were talking off the air about it's a difficult schedule for you this year.
It is, and one that I'm really proud about, though. So thankful to all the Ducks that have worked so hard in the years past and have put our program into this position. I think we have the best fall schedule in the country. So very thankful to compete at the Annika Invitational. Annika Sorenstam is an incredible advocate for women's golf and has given so much back to the game. Runs a first-class collegiate event to kick off our fall season. Really thankful to go. One of my personal goals when I first got here to Oregon was to get us an invite to that tournament, and now we finished second there the past 2 years.
Awesome.
So really proud of that. And then we head to Chicago, a really fun event that Northwestern puts on.
It's called the Windy City Classic.
It is the Windy City Classic.
Might be the easiest name for a golf tournament ever.
No doubt. But really fun, and get a chance to go downtown Chicago and get some deep dish pizza.
Yeah.
So one of my faves. But always loving going back to the Midwest because that's where I'm from, is from Ohio. So it's great to go back.
Awesome hearing from Ducks head coach Derek Radley. He'll go back to Chicago for his home for another tournament coming up on September 30th. Our thanks for him for giving us time. That interview with him brought to you by Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. When we come back on Duck Insider, we wrap it up here on the Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studio on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I like a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Wrapping things up here on Duck Insider. It was a packed show. We were able to hear from Dan Lanning and from Derek Radley, of course, the golf coach. You can hear the conversation that Matt Ulmer had earlier today with the media about their matchup with Portland State tonight on YouTube, on the Go Ducks YouTube channel. Time now for the 2-minute drill today, brought to you by Cafe Yum. 7 p.m. tonight, interstate matchup, Ducks volleyball taking on Portland State. That one's at 7 p.m., and it will be broadcast on ESPN+, so you can take in Ducks volleyball there. Women's soccer tomorrow at 4 p.m. They're making the trip all the way over to New Jersey. They're playing Rutgers. So that'll be on Big Ten+. You can take that one in as well. So a busy week in Ducks athletics, and those are really the two main ones that stand out for today and tomorrow. 2-minute drill brought to you by Cafe Yum, serving fresh food fast with organic ingredients. Enjoy a famous Yum Bowl at 23 Cafe Yum restaurants throughout the Northwest, home of the Ducks. Excited about tomorrow's show as well. Getting ready for women's basketball season. Why not, right? Like a month and a half away, maybe a little over a month. We talked with Peyton Scott about the new roster, all of her new teammates. Ducks men's golf coach Casey Martin will be on the program as well. Join us tomorrow 1 p.m. again for Duck Insider. This is Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Chris Clayton. I'll be back with you tomorrow on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son